Hi everyone, Professor Gustin here again, and I'm going to go over the syllabus. So if you got here, you obviously found, here we go, that syllabus link. I'm up here. So there's the Word document for the syllabus link. Here's the video that you're accessing. So hopefully you clicked on that Word document and you found it here. Now, what I recommend when you're looking at any of the documents that you need to print, and I highly recommend that you print this because there's a lot of things in here that you'll refer back to. So print this and put it in a 3-ring binder and get your notes started for the semester. But what I recommend is you go from here, you click download, and my computer puts my downloads kind of up here. I didn't put it in the screen here, but I have a little arrow that's pointing down, and I click on that arrow and I have my syllabus, and it opens as a Word document. So this document, here's the syllabus, and like I said, print it out, put it in your notebook, and it's for both lecture and lab. Here's my contact information. The most efficient way to contact me for an online course is using email, and I check my email regularly. I try to really stay on top of that and keep an eye on what if you're trying to get information from me. So please contact me by email. I am in my office. I have office hours. I'm in my office a lot more than that, but these are hours that are a little bit more reliable. And I look like I just made a typo there because that should say 11:30, and I'm going to fix that before you guys print it. But email me. You can call me, or you can even stop by during office hours if you want to do that. My office is in Schuyler Hall, SCH 208. There's the course description, the learning outcomes about the course. Here's the textbook information, and I mentioned this in the video, the introduction video, that you're going to have to connect. Click on the link to McGraw-Hill Connect, and you're going to have to sign up for your course materials. You can't take this course without using those course materials, so you just wouldn't be able to do a lot of the activities. So make sure you get that. The ebook is with those course materials, so you're going to pay one price to get everything. Lab, lecture, ebook, that kind of stuff. Here I have proctored lecture exams and the final exam. I put this right away because this is another thing that trips people up, is we have 4 proctored lecture exams and a proctored final exam. That means there's a recording being made of you while you're taking those exams. The proctoring will be in the form of an online proctoring software called Respondus. To use this software, you'll need a computer with a webcam. So right now, if you do not have a computer with a webcam or a tablet with a webcam, you need to find a way to get one. And there's a couple other options. So I'll get back to you there. Here I put a little extra note. It says, depending upon the circumstances, not using Respondus for an exam or using it improperly may be considered a violation of the CCC academic honesty policy and can result in a 0 for the assignment or removal from class. I've had all sorts of, every variation on what people can do. I've had people that use it, but then it's so dark I can't see their face, or their head is down like this, and so I can't see their face while they're taking the exam, things like that. And those things are going to be in violation of the academic honesty policy. So couple things about using Respondus, our proctoring program, is Chromebooks do not work with Respondus. Now that could change at any time. I don't know if Respondus has changed that. If you have a Chromebook and you want to be sure if it works or not, my impression it doesn't, but you can also contact Respondus. Just go, search them on Google them, and you can contact them. But typically if you're using a Chromebook or you don't have a webcam, you're going to need to arrange for a different device. There are a limited number of laptop computers available, at the CCC library on a first come, first served basis. They go away quickly, but you can borrow them for free for the entire semester. So if you want to borrow a laptop from the CCC library, go ahead, go to the library and do that. The downfall of that is you can't save anything on the laptop, including your Respondus software. So if you go to borrow a computer, to ask them to install Respondus software on it. Another option is there's 2 computers in the Learning Commons, which is kind of attached to the library, and or actually it's called the Learning Center now. Again, another typo, but 2 computers in the Learning Center attached to the library that actually have Respondus software on them. So if you're going to take a test and you want to use one of those, you can email me, or you can just show up and ask one of the tutors in the Learning Center, and they will tell you which computers have that software. If you can't find a tutor, you can also go to the library help desk, and the librarians should know what computers have the Respondus software. So you can take your tests on that. Be aware that the Learning Center is not open on the weekends, and it's not open at night. So check the hours of the Learning Center before you plan to take your exam. I typically have a few students in the class that are who are STEM Academy students. If you don't know if you're a STEM Academy student, you're not. But what I find is our STEM Academy students get a computer, get a laptop from the STEM Academy, and they sometimes have trouble getting software downloaded on them. If you are a STEM Academy student, this week, immediately go talk to your administrator and ask them to get Respondus software installed on your laptop. This historically has sometimes taken a couple weeks, so please act on that now. I've had that trip up some STEM Academy students, and you need to get that software this first week of class. Get that Respondus software on your computer. General technical help. When you take an online course, there's going to be technical problems. It might be something I do. It might be something I have no control over. It might be something wrong with your own setup. So first thing to do, if you're having technical problems that's stopping you from getting the course done in a timely manner, let me know. So email me and let me know. It doesn't mean I will be able to fix it. It might mean that I know that other students are having this problem and I can give you a solution. I might be able to do that, especially if multiple people are telling me I'm having the same problem. I go contact IT and I say, why are multiple students having this problem? And I can share that information with you. You can also go to the CCC IT department directly yourself, and it gives you some information. How do I contact the IT department? They're also in the Learning Commons, or in the Learning Center. They changed the name and I'm not not remembering that. They're in the Learning Center, like in the library building. Walk in there and ask for IT, or find the IT desk, and they can give you they might be able to help you. There's also on in the My Corning, there is a IT help desk contact information. So contact the IT department if you're having problems, technical problems. Rarely, but occasionally, it might be a McGraw-Hill problem. And so you can also contact McGraw-Hill, and there's a link there, but the easiest way to contact them, go on your computer, go Google it, and say, Brightspace student help, and you'll find contact information. Okay, so that's if you're having a problem with the McGraw-Hill Connect itself. IT would be more likely if you're having problems with your email or something with the internet, that kind of thing. Okay, so technical help, build in time to have technical help. This is common in online classes. It's just part of the beast. You guys know it from working on computers in the past. Okay, assignment due dates. I have assignment due dates. I just got my eye caught there that I make sure I had the right date. I did this in 2025. This is the right syllabus. Assignment due dates and missed assignments. Materials each week are posted in a weekly module in Brightspace. All modules will be posted by the Friday before the Monday starting the week. So for the week 1, I actually have it posted before the semester starts, the Friday before the semester starts. Actually, I think I have it posted for Wednesday because that's when the class is open. But typically, all the modules will be open the Friday before the week starts. So you'll actually have 2 full weekends on which, and a full week on which you can work on one single module. The start dates and the due dates are all on this end of the syllabus. All assignments except the final exam are due at 11:59 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Every once in a while I get a student that's out of the time zone. So all the assignments except the final exam are due 1 minute before midnight, 11:59 p.m. on the Tuesday of the following week. So if I post assignments on Friday, you have the weekend, that full week, the next weekend, and all the way up to Tuesday until they're due. That doesn't mean you should wait until Monday or Tuesday to do all your assignments, because if you have a technical problem or a personal problem, and frankly, that's a lot of material to do in a day or two. So work on your materials during the week. Where I have this exception for the final exam, so everything's due on Tuesdays. I have the dates in the syllabus, you'll see, except the final exam, which is due on a Thursday at noon. And I will remind you of that. Be respectful of due dates. Late assignments will receive no credit. On rare occasions, I will extend a date. If you had a problem, a problem, not an ongoing one after another week, but a rare circumstance, email me and we can talk about if you can get an extension. The most likely way I'll give you an extension is if you email me before the due date and you said, I'm having a problem, can I have an extension until, and you tell me specifically when you want the new due date to be. If you don't do that, I'm just going to email you back and say, what's your expectation? When do you want your new due date? So read this carefully. And if you need an extension, talk to me, but this should be an exception rather than the rule. I reserve the right to deduct 10% for late assignments. If it's just something chronic or it's just not, you're just not keeping up routinely, I'm going to end up taking 10% off of a late assignment or all the way up to not accepting late assignments. If it's more, if it's extremely late, I might not even accept it. So if you're going to miss something, you need to let me know as soon as possible. A week after it's due, if you email me a week after it's due and say, oh, I missed last week, I'm going to say too bad. Okay? Part of what I'm trying to teach you in this course is to rise to the occasion, that I want you to do the work on time. If you can't do it on time due to an unusual situation, I need you to contact me. I'm trying to help you develop really good professional habits that will be useful in the future. We have course notes and organization. Get a 3-ring binder, print the syllabus, print the lecture study guide, and each lab handout, and put them in there. Okay, and I arrange my binder by weeks. I write week 1, week 2, week 3. I have little tabs that I put in there, and that's a really good way to organize the course, because when you go to take an exam, it's going to be on a certain number of weeks. Your lecture study guides will be in Brightspace. I'll show you where they are. In each weekly module, you're going to find a lecture study guide. And this is an outline of what I want you to know for the week. So you're going to use that. You're going to fill it in, and you're going to use that to put together your notes, and you're going to use that to study for your exams. So print out your lecture study guides. Some of you might want to print them out and create space so you can make notes right on the lecture study guide. So when you get used to the routine, you'll find something that works for you. But your lecture study guides are the key to the content that we're doing this semester. So what you're going to find is you'll print out your lecture study guide, and then you'll see some videos that will give you the lecture material for that lecture study guide, and you'll take notes, and you'll see the same kind of outline in the lecture study guide as in the videos. So you'll be able to take notes right down there. And please read this. It will give you a little bit more information. It says you can also use a smart book to help you fill in your lecture study guides. So your McGraw-Hill Connect products include this ebook or this smart book, and you will be able to refer back to that. If you don't want to go to a video, you want to look at the written content, you can do that. But I highly recommend using the videos, because sometimes the written content isn't exactly what I'm talking about. It's not, it might have more information than what I'm going to talk about in the video. The other thing you're going to notice when you go to this ebook, and they call it a smart book, and one of the reasons why it's a smart book is because most of the content that you need to know or that's in the videos is highlighted. So you'll find that really useful. Each week you're going to have a lecture assignment, and the weekly lecture assignments are created as smart book assignments. So what you want to do is you want to fill in your lecture study guide, and then review that material. Then you're going to go to the lecture assignment in Brightspace, and you're going to start that lecture assignment. It's something that we call adaptive learning. Where did I write that? They're adaptive learning assignments. And so what it's going to do, it's going to ask you multiple choice questions about the material you just took notes on. And if you get the multiple choice question correct, you'll go to the next one. You go to the next topic. If you get it wrong, it's going to ask you similar questions about the same topic. So that's what the adaptive learning is. Adaptive learning means if you seem to understand something, you'll progress through it more quickly than if you're not understanding, and it will ask you more questions about the same topic. Now, during these adaptive learning assignments, you can stop it and go read the book. Or in fact, there's a little way to do it that you can be starting questions, doing questions with the adaptive learning, and then you can go right back and do some reading, and it will bring you right to where that information in the ebook is about that question. So you can go back and forth between the questions in the book, or you can go back and forth between the questions in your notes. The trick is try to commit some of this lecture material to memory before you do the adaptive learning assignment. Because what's going to happen is you're going to take a test later on, and you have to remember that material. And students really find it hard going from this thing where you can look at your notes to actually having to memorize material for exams. So that's the hardest thing in this class, I think, is trying to memorize all that material. And it's because you've had these crutches. So practice memorizing before you start this adaptive learning assignment. These adaptive learning assignments can take sometimes around an hour. They take a while, so they're going to keep quizzing you and quizzing you. It depends on the assignment and how long it takes, and it depends on how many questions you get right. But as long as you complete the assignment, whether you complete it in one sitting or multiple sittings, as long as you complete the assignment, you'll get 100%. And the lecture assignment grade is based on the percent of questions you completed. So most people complete all the questions. There's something called recharge, and what happens is once you've completed a lecture assignment, you'll be able to see it in the McGraw-Hill Connect site. It stays there, but it says recharge next to it. And what that means is you can do it again. You can do this little quiz again, but it won't affect your original grade. So if you want to do the adaptive learning assignment or this lecture assignment as a review for an exam, you can do that without affecting your grade. And you'll see that it says recharge. You'll be able to do it as many times as you want. The other thing you're going to see in Brightspace are lab handouts. In each module, you're going to have a lab handout. And so print out the lab handout for the week and follow along. And you'll see there are video links. There's also virtual labs in that lab handout. And all those links you'll be able to find in the Brightspace page, and I'll show you where that is. So you want to fill out the lab handout. You want to do the entire lab, fill out the lab handout. And then sometimes, not always, but some weeks there's a lab quiz. And the lab quiz will be questions directly from the lab handout. And so you want to completely fill out your lab handout and use that to answer the quiz. You do not return your lab handouts to me. You use them to take a quiz. So you can use your lab handout. And so my lab quiz is a way for me to say, did you fill out the lab handout? If you want to withdraw from the course, you need to do so by week 9 if you want to get a W, which won't impact your GPA or your, yeah, you can withdraw from, any course. You can withdraw from a course, but you have to do it before the end of week 9. After week 9, if you're still in the course, even if you only ever did one assignment, you will get the grade you earned in this course. Last semester, I had like 3 people that did like week 1 and then decided they weren't going to do anymore and never dropped the class. As long as you do one single assignment, you're considered attending in this class. And whatever grade you get, I have to give you that grade. Even if you only attended one class, I'm going to have to give you an F because you didn't do any other material. So if you decide, oh, I don't want an F, I want to get a W, you withdraw by the end of week 9. Okay, and I'll remind you of that. All your grades will be posted in Brightspace, and they'll show up immediately after you take a test or a quiz. Here it says, if there's a quiz that has short answer questions or fill in the blank questions that I have to grade by hand. If they're not multiple choice, but they're short answer, sometimes lab quizzes will have this, short answer, fill in the blank, you'll get a grade, but it won't be the grade won't be updated until I actually grade those questions. And so I will grade the short answer, fill in the blank questions, usually the day after the due date. And I'll remind you of that. If you want to see what you got wrong on your tests and quizzes in Brightspace, come back here. Read this. I have a lot of people that get halfway through the semester and never look at what they got wrong on their quizzes or their tests. So remember that this is here. When you get to take a test, you can, after the due date, you can see what you got wrong. I have a whole table here of all the exams, lecture assignments. Those are those LAs, the adaptive learning assignments, and all the labs. And these are the lab quizzes. Oh, actually, the lab is worth 15 points. So that's going to be the lab quiz plus any virtual labs you do. And I didn't mention that, but the virtual labs, they also are, you get full credit as long as you complete it. Okay, I'll show you where they are. So a total of 810 points. You can see the grading scale there. Please read this basic needs statement. It can be helpful if you have any food or housing insecurity or need mental health support. Read that. We have ways to help you out there. Finally, this, I look at this constantly, and you should too. So week 1, you're going to finish the scientific method, and there's the lab topic. That's it's in Brightspace. Here's all the weekly assignments. There's the lecture assignment, and then all these are related to the lab handout. And here's the number of points they are, and they're due Tuesday, February 3rd at 11:59 p.m. The lecture assignments are all worth 10 points. Here they are. And all of this is lab. So what do I have? 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 points here. All those points are this week 1 lab assignment. Okay, and you'll notice every week, I just noticed something here. I have my lecture assignment. Oh, I know. The lecture assignment and respondus. This is your lecture assignment grade for this week. There's your 10 points. Here's your 10-point lab assignment or lecture assignment points, 15 points for lab. Okay, and here's notes on when things are due. Another reminder, everything's due Tuesdays except the final exam is due on a Thursday at noon. Okay, I'm going to stop there. You're going to watch, I think I have one more video to help you get started. So I'll stop right here and go to the next thing, which is week 1.